When Pokopia was first announced in 2025, I and many others had a lot of questions. Mainly has Nintendo lost their marbles again, because what is this cursed shit?
Oh my god, what is this?
But ever so slowly that narrative started to warp towards a more hopeful outcome with every little piece of information we got about the game. And right before release, we started to wonder, wait, could Pokopia actually be kind of peak? And since then, I have gotten the game on release and I've been chipping away at it ever since. I'm just kidding, I've actually been non-stop playing this game since it came out because I have nothing better to do with my life. And that's mostly because I've been enjoying slowly uncovering all the mysteries this game has underneath and befriending all of my favorite Pokemon, as well as making life hard for the ones I don't.
Bruh.
And slowly building up my Poco empire to enslave, bring back the humans to this apocalyptic landscape to live in harmony. And I have definitely enjoyed my time with Pokopia, but the more I started to play it, the more it became clear that I feel like this game is even more for just hardcore Pokemon fans, and maybe even for someone more with how much it seems to be resonating with other people. So today I wanted to kind of unpack what I really enjoy about Pokemon Pokopia, and a lot of the other things that I think make it stand out from a lot of the other Pokemon games, and other games in this similar genre that exists today, and why I think so many people have resonated with. And if you haven't tried playing this game yet, I also want to give you kind of my own recommendation on if I think you should play this game. So with that being said, let's move on to this discussion on one of the wildest games that Nintendo has ever made, so for one of my favorite franchises. And if you like this video, give it a like, give it a subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, because frankly, I just like talking about video games that I can't stop playing. I think my favorite part about Pokopia is just the gameplay loop. So let's start with dissecting that a little bit. One of the biggest issues I have with games like Animal Crossing is sometimes you just run out of things to do in a given day. And you can't be a complete degenerate and play a minimum of 24 hours in a day like, say, Stardew Valley. But Pokopia does a great job at finding a balance between keeping you busy for a long time, but also making it completely acceptable to just stop at any point and preserve your health and well-being. And that starts from the very beginning of the game. After making your Ditto look like the least or most cursed version of yourself, you're dropped in a desolate wasteland where it's apparent you have a lot of work to do. There are just sticks, rocks, weird colored blocks littered all around the place. And if it wasn't for your trusty Professor Tangrowth, you'd be pretty lonely as well. Which, shout out to my guy, who might unironically be my favorite Pokemon professor we have ever had in a Pokemon game. I am dead serious on that. I love this guy. He's charismatic, he's funny, even if his qualifications for being a professor are a little underdefined. I mean, this dude just seems to be winging it at all points of this game. But regardless, it's your job to start cleaning out the area and meeting with new Pokemon, which can be acquired by creating various habitats, usually by getting a hint on how to arrange the grass, trees, and even toys into a certain pattern, which is one of my favorite parts about the game, is trying to Tetris the various habitats together and get them organized in a pleasing way, as well as eventually displacing them into their new huts or houses at a later point. Or I fill up their new unit with the easiest and most basic furniture to create to get that 3-item requirement. It's probably a good thing I don't have enough money to be a landlord. And from there you keep adding up your collection of Pokemon and start getting some with more helpful abilities, like those that give you the ability to build, which also allows you to start building those houses and huts. And now another aspect of this game's gameplay loop that really keeps me going and motivated is just this game has various objectives. And again, I like games like Animal Crossing, but Pokopia really does a great job at adding various clear objectives, like restoring the Poke Center, or hydrating the land, or throwing a fucking rager. And that's really the aspect that's kept me playing this game for an unhealthy amount at certain points. When you're knocking back those tasks and slowly watching that progress reflect in the world, it's a blissful experience. You get hooked in the zone in this game. There's so many points where I got locked in. And before you know it, everything starts looking a lot more cheerful and bright. And looking back at footage from the early moments of the game, it's very clear to see how much progress I have actually completed in this game. It's so satisfying on a different level from a lot of the other games I've played out there. And those tasks also really build up onto each other as you move through the various areas, because yes, one of the most shocking things that I learned about this game, a little bit of a spoiler I guess if you're want to go into this blind, but Yeah, there's multiple areas in this game, and I even had almost an Elden Ring map moment in this game when I realized how many areas there actually are, and they just kept adding them and expanding the game out. And I also love how visually different and all the different resources and all the different Pokemon that are available in each one feels so different and unique, and I actually enjoyed creating and clearing out each one and building up for the various Pokemon that are there. I kind of thought at the very beginning that I'd have one be my home base or something, but by the end, for even myself, I found it very surprising that I was actually fixing up each one and was kind of motivated to give each one the kind of tender love and care that they all deserve. And Pokopia is frankly just a beefy game, and I honestly think they're going to add so much to this game later on, and we'll at least have years of updates, or at least that's what I hope. But that's not all, because a lot of that's pretty basic, clearing out the area, making it look good, building houses, housing the different Pokemon in them, and kind of just Tetrising everything together. That was kind of what I had expected from this game, but there are also a whole host of elements that were very unexpected. And one of the things I definitely didn't expect was the power generation aspect, which gets added in the Bleak Beach area. When you're tasked with brightening up the area and awakening a mossy Snorlax, and you have to wire a bunch of machines and lampposts using utility poles and different generators like windmills, furnaces, and water mills. I mean, I absolutely hate how low the utility poles are. I mean, they need to get off the screen. They kind of annoy me a little bit with being able to see them on screen at all times when you're running around the world, but I found this whole aspect to be very intriguing to mess with and balance out. I don't think I've had this much fun wiring different electronics in a video game since I probably played Minecraft for the very first time. But I do kind of wish they took a hint from Palworld and allowed you to use the power of Pokemon to generate energy, like a hamster wheel or something. I guess they're only capable of making bricks and cutting wood. And then it gets even further expanded in the next area, which gives you access to making things like concrete, and holy shit, there's just so many things that were stacking up on top of each other. And I think that's why I've also seen so many fans making weird creations and making art. And I swear, if this game had mods, I mean, that would be on an even higher level. I didn't even get to the fact that this game also has a rail system, which frankly I haven't done that much with. I just kind of connected the main loop that they already kind of lay out for you, but it definitely makes things go faster. And I don't know, to me, Ditto just looks like a dumb asshole or something when he's riding around on this thing, but I like it. But yeah, I just can't get over how this game expands and evolves on itself from hour to hour, and its expertise at keeping you constantly moving, constantly building, and my brain is in a constant state of, oh, I'll just go do this and I'll go do that, or while we're building that, I'll go wire this or go collect some limestone while all these houses are being worked on or something. But that's not all, because even when I finish the session playing this game, I'm constantly thinking about what I want to do in my next check-in. I'm going for a run outside in my own personal life, and I'm still thinking about Pokopia and taking inspiration from the world around me and how I might change up my little floating islands, or I might build a new skyscraper. But with that all being said, that's kind of the whole building kind of mechanics aspect of this, because there's another reason that I think this game is truly amazing. And I think the thing that really threatens to move this game onto the peak of other Pokemon games out there, and that is your ability to share this whole experience with all the Pokemon around you. Another thing I just cannot get over in this game is how there are over 300 of these colorful little freaks in this game. And this has one of the most impressive Pokédexes of all games. Of course, we knew they were never going to put like all 1,000 Pokemon in this game, but I think the really good thing is that they chose about 300 Pokemon, and then they made them all distinct in behaviors. And sure, some of them might have some similar personalities, and some of them kind of feel like they're maybe not contributing as much as other Pokemon, and they might not have as much of a role other than to just be one of the standard ones that you throw in when you're building a house, but doesn't have a specific ability that's very useful. But there's just also so many standout Pokemon that feel so unique and have a pivotal role in the story for each region, especially those that give you the various Ditto cursed abilities. Most of these are based off of the HMs from the games, or a move that just makes sense, like Leafage allows you to make little grass patches, Rock Smash lets you smash rocks. The only one that I really don't get is Camouflage, camouflage. I'm not exactly sure what the point of this one is other than when you're playing co-op or something with your friends. But really what I think is cool is that they've morphed this whole cooking mechanic around a character like Chef Dente, which then adds the whole mechanic to this game of cooking up recipes to improve your abilities, using the power of beans and bread to amp up your abilities, and keeping up to date on making those recipes for those foods is really important, especially for like the punching ability, which is very critical for allowing you to actually smash the ore and slice through metal fences. There are a lot of fun personalities and memorable quotes from the Pokemon in this game. Some of my favorites are the Volbeat that kind of wonders what human butts look like. Huh? I also love the fact that Kyogre is like a southern belle or something. Humans were making a real fuss, you see, so I headed down to the quiet ocean floor for a good long nap. What? But two of my favorite and most memorable moments from the Pokemon are definitely the fact that Graveler and Machoke seem to have some misunderstanding at some point in the Rocky Ridges region of the map, and it definitely makes it seem like some sort of, gay lovers dispute where they're just like don't want to talk to each other, don't want to confront each other. So that's why I ended up making them become roommates later on. And the top one for me, definitely very early on in the game, was when Slowpoke, you got to clear a path for him because his poor little feet are going to hurt or something. So you got to clear a path and he's just stumbling through the entire region to get to the Poke Center so that he can yawn and bring the ring back. And that is where this game does start to feel a little bit like a mix of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon with an Animal Crossing, or I guess a Dragon Quest Builders. I know a lot of people said it's like Dragon Quest Builders made by those same people, but I never played that game. And the dialogue with the Pokemon is even so engrossing that my wife, who wasn't actually playing the game but was just watching me play, got sucked in. And then I met Psyduck for the very first time and he's talking about being racked with headaches, and she's just looking, I'm like, oh my god, I can relate with this stupid duck. And I think that's one of the coolest aspects about this game is because it allows anyone to really just find a Pokemon to connect with on a different level, even if you're a Pokemon fan and you already know which Pokemon I like. But I also came out of this game thinking like, hey, Tangrowth is actually kind of cool. I mean, I never thought that. Tangrowth was a relatively kind of, I don't really give a shit about Tangrowth kind of Pokemon before this game ever came out. And now here I am taking a picture with Tangrowth because he's one of my favorite Pokemon and one of my favorite professors that introduced in the entire game. And now I want to go add a Tangrowth to my next time I'm playing like Pokemon Platinum or something. And ultimately this game is fun, and a lot of other Pokemon games are fun, but this is something that's very unique and it has these moments that almost no other Pokemon game has, and it makes it really stand out. And it's why I think a lot of other people have gotten attracted into playing this game, not just the addictive gameplay style, but is actually interacting with Pokemon and how unique they are and how fun they are to actually talk to. In my last video, I talked about wanting to play games that I need to play, not because of like FOMO or something, because I just can't stop playing them. And games that live rent-free in my mind every moment when I'm not even playing that. And Pokopia has done that just effortlessly, has inserted its way into my life, and I frankly don't want it to leave. I just keep playing it even though I've rolled credits on the main story. Now, if there was anything that I didn't really love too much about the game, that would probably be the tearing down aspect of the game. Anytime you're trying to level a giant building or something and you have to tear it down, those kind of things were just not my cup of tea, especially because there were so many times where I just end up falling off the building or falling through a hole or something, and that's very common, especially because a lot of the structures that you're trying to tear down are so worn down from time or whatever, or maybe some intergalactic war, I don't really know. So the possibility to fall from tall heights is very plausible in this game, and it does make the game a little bit of a slog every time you have to climb back up to the very top. Now, with that being said, do I think Pokopia is actually peak Pokemon? Is it something that even non-Pokemon fans should start playing right now? I mean, if it's not obvious already, I definitely think this game is pretty peak. Is it my favorite Pokemon game of all time? I don't know. Is it one of my favorite kind of building like block games like this? It might honestly be. Or even when I went back to play something like Power World, it kind of made me reflect on why I kind of didn't like Power World. It's like, yeah, you can exploit them. There are some cool aspects to Power World that Pokopia doesn't have that made it kind of more interesting, being a more survival game. But at the same time, Pals really have no personality in comparison to like the Pokemon in this game, making them just not really something fun to interact with. And maybe that's because you're exploiting them. Maybe they don't want you to become friendly with them or have too many favorites. But it's ultimately why I played this game for like 40 hours so far, and I played Pal World for like 8 or 9 hours. But with that being said, thank you for watching this video. Like it, subscribe to the channel, channel if you want to see more videos like this. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be making any more videos on Pokopia specifically, but I have some other ideas planned in the very near future.
Let's get this place.